In this section, in this lecture today, I am going to teach you guys how to link your Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, to Comsol. So, what we are going to do is we are going to um, take a simple model which you can actually build inside Illustrator, and we are going to use that one to do FEM analysis inside Comsol. Uh, why we are doing this? Because Illustrator is a powerful tool to actually build a lot of complex structures, and it would be very easy for us to just make the models inside Illustrator and use those models inside Comsol MultiPhysics. Okay, of course, uh, for a simple thing, what we are going to do, we are going to set a simple cube, and maybe we are going to make some complex object inside that one, and we are going to build this one inside the Illustrator. And after after exporting in form of DXFI format, and then we are going to use inside Comsol. So this is going to be your workflow, building complex structures inside Illustrator, and how we can actually export those and use them inside the console. We are going to cover in this lecture. Okay, so this is going to be your first step in building complex models. So if we, yeah, okay, yeah. If we open our Illustrator and just make a blank, start with a blank worksheet, we can actually set the dimensions of this worksheet by going to the document setup, and we are going to edit the board, and let's say we are going to yeah we are going to actually fix let's say 100 by 100. Okay, oh sorry, this was actually 0 by 0, and this is 100 by 100. Okay, this is our worksheet. If we zoom in, this is our worksheet, and here we can actually make a lot of complex objects. So for example, if I want to build uh, something like this, we cannot do these kind of shapes easily um, in Comsol multiphysics. So we are going to build our different or difficult or complex shapes or structures here, and then we are going to import in Comsol. So first thing important is setting up the uh, documents dimensions. Okay, so if I make a perfect shape like this one, and let's make it a hollow. Okay, so this is going to be like a 100 by 100, 100 pixels by 100 pixels, and this shape is kind of a random shape. We can also just adjust these like a different shapes. If I want to make like the different shapes, going to the transform tool, here I can select its width and select its height. Let's say height is 10 and 15 is the width. Okay, so this is a fairly good example, I think. Let's export this one, export as, and yeah, we are going to say illustrate, for example. Let's say one, and yeah, we have selected the DXF. Here, this is very important. Here you have to select the artwork scale uh, one by one. It means that 1 point or 1 pixel over here is representing one unit, which is going to be represented inside the DXF or DWG file. Okay, so I click OK. So one file is actually saved over here. Let's go to the Comsol MultiPhysics. Open up that one. So this is our simple structure. Where is the, yeah? This is the console interface, and let's go to the blank model and make a 2D structure because we are dealing with the 2D. Here there is an option of importing the models outside Comsol MultiPhysics. And if we browse and go to the Illustrator, this is the DXF file, and click open. Okay, we have to click import over here. So this is the object which was built inside. We know that it is built inside the Illustrator, and now it has been imported inside Comsol. Uh, if we go to the sketch, and yeah, if we it is in actually sketch mode. If we disable this one, and we can see these are the solid objects. And like this, if we keep on changing things over here and importing sorry, exporting and importing inside the console, we can see all the changes over here. Now if we look closely, we have already selected 100 by 100. Okay, 100 points by 100 points. However, over here, when it came inside console, it does not representing inside the pixels, because the units would be in like meter, micrometer, or millimeters. Okay, uh, we can see our cube is actually starting from 0 by 0. Okay, and it has like 100 meter height and 100 meter width. We can change. Let's say if we want this one in micrometers, we just have to go to the geometry and change the length units. If we change the length units to the millimeter, let's say centimeter or millimeter, we just have to like go and build it again, and we can see it has been changed from 100 meter to 100 millimeter. Whatever scale, whatever units we are actually using over here, those can be changed in the respective units which we have defined over here. Okay, uh, of course we have to uncheck this one, scale values, when changing units. We are not going to change pixel to a millimeter or micrometers. We are going to use the same uh, like the numbers, how we are going to change the units from pixel to millimeters. Okay, and here let's say if we want to like scale up or scale down this object, we have imported, and we thought it was not, we do not want to uh, make it like 100 millimeter. We want to make it like 50 millimeters, or we have to use it to like a 1 millimeter. So here is a function which we can use. It's called scale. Okay, If we go to the transforms, and there is a scale option, and if we select our object, of course, the center of scaling will be 0 by 0. Okay, from here, and we can change and select like 100, and if we move it, we can see it's now 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. Okay, like that. If we want to change it to like 5 millimeter, okay, so it would be like 5 millimeter by 5 millimeter now. So it's important to set the basic scale inside Illustrator while exporting. And you can use those dimensions and scaling up and down. It would be easy inside the console as well. And what can you do over here? What kind of operations you can actually apply on these objects? So, of course, you can make the meshing and study if there is any kind of a mistake, or any kind of fine meshes are being generated at one point. So you have to fix those one in your geometry. Going to the geometry, uh, almost all the operations you can do on these objects over here. Okay, however, you cannot use maybe like if I go to the sketch and build a new object. Let's say I am going to build a new object like ellipse. Sorry. Okay, from here, if I select ellipse and I want to build a new ellipse. Okay. So I can actually use these points to change its dimensions and those things, and these things are actually available over here. But I cannot change the units or dimensions or anything uh, for these pre-built objects. Okay, so we do not have any kind of options to changing those. So, however, we can actually delete certain things. For example, if I want to delete this line, or maybe this whole cube, just select the object and press delete. Select the object, press delete. Select the object, press delete, and select the object and press delete. So it's going to look like this. Okay, and you can use this one and to do the simulation. Uh, yeah. So these are like important things. So, of course, sometimes you do not want this zero, this edge to be at 0 by 0. Okay, 0 0.0, like at the origin. Let's say this is our imported object, and here, if we see this one, we go to the transform and see this one. So we can see this point uh, is a reference point. Okay, and we can move these points according to our own requirements. If we change the reference points, we can see these changes can be shifted to the in the export files, and it will those will come over here. So maybe if let's say if we want to make this one as a 0, so let's see if we can do that. uh, our x is 0, our y is 100. Okay, let's make yeah, uh, rather than making, so we have selected this point actually. uh, we are going to shift this point to this point. So let's say uh, we have to shift up. If I say not over here, like minus 100 over here, so we can move our things. So, maybe this could be a right thing or not, but we will see. We can change our document settings. Okay, if we click over here and see the transformations. So again, it's saying it's 0.0. I'm not sure if it's going to be. Let's try. Say this is the Illustrator 2. Okay, and go to the browse, use the second one and do the import. It's changed. Okay, we shifted our cube from 0 to 100. So now we can see it has been changed from 0 to 100. So it's not the y is not actually on 0. It has been shifted to like 100. Okay, if we want to bring it back, so we have to shift it like the 100 units below. So like this, using the reference point option over here, like this one, reference points, and changing the dimensions. We can changing the reference points, so we can change where this cube is actually. Okay, so we can also like translate this one using transform. Okay, if we go to the if we go to the transform, and this is a move function, and if we use move function, we can also move our object and place at a specific location inside the Comsol MultiPhysics. Anyhow, what kind of actually problems could occur when you are importing your files from Illustrator? Of course, in Illustrator, you are seeing a vector forms. If let's say I have this a line, if it is perfect straight, it's okay. Okay, but sometimes these lines are not. Yeah, sometimes let's say if this line actually coincides with this one, and we cannot see this line in Illustrator, but if we export this one like 3, okay, and import the third one. Yeah, first let's check over here. This is just a solid line previously. Okay, and when we import the new one and build selected, now we can see it's a solid line, and there is also another line. Okay, and of course these were not on top of each other, and there is a certain gap, and this could make a lot of problems inside Comsol Physics. Okay, because if we are going to go to make meshes, and yeah, we can see there is some kind of problem because its dimensions or the separation is quite small, and it is saying that it requires a lot of fine meshes over here. So this kind of problems would occur, and you have to remove those things yourself over here. So let's say if I want to click and delete this thing and build it again and go to the mesh build. So now it's okay. We do not want any kind of like fine meshes at like a concentrated meshes at one point. We have to fix these things ourselves, like maybe deleting the entities or doing some kind of operations on top of those. Okay. Of course, if this one and this one was perfectly aligned, so if we export this one, go to the fourth one, we do not have to delete now, and import the fourth object, build selected. Now we can see if two lines are actually uh, a smaller line is on top of the longer line, then in console when we use like a union operation, or when it is actually importing, it's going to divide the whole line in three. Okay, so this is an extra line, and these are the other lines. So you have to actually you have to be careful when importing files from Illustrator to the console. So these kind of operations are going to be like very tricky, and you have to be careful. And how you can actually see these things, uh, if you go to like in definitions here, show geometry labels. Now you can see this is like line 3, 8, and 9. So these are three lines, and previously it was only one line. And of course, this is not going to make a huge problem in Comsol multiphysics, but previously when this line was actually separated and there was a gap, and when we make a mesh, so mesh was quite bad actually. That kind of things, of course, are going to make a lot of problems. So in these sections, we actually cleared how to set up a document using document setup inside the Illustrator. We have to be careful while keeping the dimensions inside the Illustrator, because those dimensions will have a lot of effect in Comsol multiphysics. Okay, and you can use the transform function and change the dimensions of each object. Okay, like this is 100 points by 100 points, so you can also change the dimensions. Okay, this was like an extra line, and if you select like this one, yeah, you can change the dimensions like width and height. You can save the file in the format of dxf, and you can import. And while saving in dxf format, you have to be careful. Yeah, this is very important. You have to be careful about these options like a scaling. So if you mess up these scales, it would be very difficult for you to imagine how much bigger it's going to be, or how much smaller it's going to be inside when you use that DXF inside the Comsol metaphysics. So I think it's better if you use one by one, or 1:1 scale. Okay, and yeah, this is very important. And you have to in Comsol metaphysics, you have to check the meshes, if the meshes are being built going wrong. So uh, you have to fix those by going to the geometry, deleting some object, or doing some kind of operations on top of those. Okay, and what kind of problems could occur, we have also cleared that. Yeah, so it's very important. This is a very important tool, because we can now we can use uh, yeah, we can use a very complex objects, and we can build a lot of complex structures inside the Illustrator, and we can use those inside Comsol metaphysics. Okay, if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Any question? Okay, let's take a break, and we will start again in a minute.